The air in the grocery store was thick with tension as Sophia, a white woman, stood in the aisle, her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Nearby, Aliyah, a blind black woman, was patiently waiting for her guide, unaware of the impending storm that was about to erupt. Suddenly, Aliyah's cane grazed Sophia's leg, and the white woman recoiled, her face contorting with rage. She glared at Aliyah, her eyes flashing with anger. "How dare you touch me?" she spat, her voice venomous. Aliyah, shaking and with her hands outstretched, said, "I'm really sorry, madam. I didn't see you. I'm blind, and I was just waiting for my guide." Sophia didn't care. Her face twisted into a sneer as she snapped, "I don't care. You bumped into me, and I'm calling the police." She quickly dialed the emergency number on her phone. Aliyah's eyes filled with tears as she pleaded, "Please, it was an accident. I didn't mean to touch you. I'm just waiting for my guide." Her voice was full of desperation, but Sophia remained unmoved. Sophia scoffed, "Oh, so now you're using your blindness as an excuse. Does that make your behavior okay?" She raised an eyebrow, clearly irritated. Aliyah's distress grew. She spoke quickly, trying to calm Sophia down. "I'm not making excuses. I'm really sorry. I just want to get home safely." But Sophia was relentless. "You've upset me, and you think you can just assault people and get away with it. Not happening." Aliyah, now in tears, begged, "Please, madam, I'm blind and just trying to find my way. I didn't mean any harm." Sophia turned away, her tone firm. "The police are on their way. You're going to learn about respecting others." Aliyah's shoulders sagged as she continued to plead, "I'm begging you. I'm just a blind woman trying to get home. I didn't do anything wrong." Sophia ignored her, focused on her phone call. "The police are coming," she said coldly. "You'll regret this." Moments later, a police officer arrived, his uniform crisply pressed, and his expression devoid of any emotion. Aliyah desperately tried to explain her situation, but the officer swiftly cut her off, his eyes narrowing with open contempt. Aliyah's voice quivered as she spoke, her words tumbling out in a frantic plea. "Officer, please, you have to listen to me. I'm blind and waiting for my guide. I wasn't assaulting anyone." But before she could finish, the police officer silenced her, his tone frigid and dismissive. "Madam, you're under arrest for assaulting this woman," he said, his eyes narrowing in skepticism. "Don't give me that blind act. I know you're just using it to get away with attacking white people." Aliyah's face contorted in distress, as she continued to plead her case. "No, please, you have to believe me. I would never hurt anyone. I'm just waiting for my guide. Please, you have to stop this." But the officer was unmoved, his expression twisting into a sneer. With a rough grab, he seized Aliyah's arm and shoved her forward, causing her to cry out in pain. "Save it, I've heard it all before," he growled. "You think you can play the helpless blind card to get away with assaulting innocent people? Not on my watch, lady." Aliyah's voice rose to a desperate cry, as she tried to reason with the officer. "Oh, please, you're hurting me. I'm telling the truth, I swear. Why won't you listen?" But her words fell on deaf ears, the officer's response dripping with disdain. "Because I know you're kind," he sneered. "You think you can just pretend to be disabled and get away with anything. Well, not today. You're coming with me." As the officer dragged her away, Aliyah's pleas grew more frantic, her voice breaking with despair. "No, please, you have to understand. I'm blind, I'm not faking it. Please stop this, I need help." But the officer remained unmoved, his grip on her arm tightening as he pulled her along. "Cut the crap, lady," he snarled. "I'm not falling for your little game. Now shut up and come with me before I have to use more force." Aliya's cries for help continued to echo through the alley, her voice hoarse from shouting, but the officer refused to listen. Unbeknownst to him, however, his boss, a high-ranking official, had witnessed the entire incident from the far end of the alley, a look of grave concern etched on his face. The boss, a woman with a keen eye for injustice, watched in horror as the officer's brutality escalated. She had seen enough. Striding towards the commotion, she barked, "Officer, stand down." The officer froze, his face paling as he recognized his superior. "Madam, this woman assaulted a civilian," he stammered. "That's not what I saw," the boss retorted, her gaze unwavering. "I saw you assaulting a blind woman who was trying to explain herself." Aliya, her heart racing, pleaded, "Please, madam, I'm just trying to get home. I didn't mean to cause any trouble." The boss turned to Aliya, her expression softening. "I understand, dear. Let me make sure you get home safely." The police chief spoke to the officer in a stern and commanding way. "For the past few years, I've received many complaints about how you treat people of color. I trusted you, but after witnessing what you just did, I realize you are harming the department's reputation. Effective immediately, you are suspended. You cannot serve the public with prejudice and bias. I will not accept this behavior from my officers. While the investigation is ongoing, if misconduct is confirmed, you could face more consequences, such as being fired, facing criminal charges, or civil penalties. In the meantime, you are no longer allowed to carry a badge or weapon." The officer complied, handing over his badge and weapons, and left feeling ashamed. Subscribe now to keep enjoying the content. Sophia, her face etched with worry, stood before the imposing figure of the police chief, the weight of her actions bearing down on her. "You know it is wrong to falsely accuse someone," the chief's voice boomed, his stern gaze fixed on Sophia. "Charges can be pressed against you. You should desist from this norm, before you get yourself in trouble with the laws of the land." Sophia felt her heart race, the guilt and shame overwhelming her. I'm sorry," she stammered, her voice trembling. "I was just having a bad day, and I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to hurt Aliya." The chief shook his head, his expression a mixture of disappointment and concern. "False accusations can have serious consequences, Sophia. Not only do they undermine the trust in our justice system, but they can also ruin lives. You need to understand the gravity of your actions." Aliya, who had been standing silently beside the chief, stepped forward, her eyes filled with a mix of emotions. "I forgive you," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I know what it's like to have a bad day, but we can't let that excuse our actions. We have to be accountable for the choices we make." Sophia felt a wave of relief wash over her, but the weight of her guilt remained. "I promise, I won't do this again. I'll be more mindful of my actions, and I'll try to be a better person. Can you forgive me?" The chief spoke. "We'll give you a chance, Sophia. But you need to understand that false accusations have consequences, and if you continue down this path, you'll find yourself in serious trouble. This is your opportunity to learn and grow." Sophia nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude and determination. She knew that this was a turning point, a chance to make amends and become a better version of herself. She felt a sense of resolve, determined to never make such a mistake again. The boss gently guided Aliya out of the store, her hand on the woman's arm. "Let's get you home," she said, her voice soothing. Sophia, left standing in the aisle, watched the scene unfold, her face etched with shame. She had misjudged the situation, and her actions had nearly led to a grave injustice. As she left the store, she vowed to be more mindful and compassionate in the future, a silent acknowledgement of the lessons she had learned that day. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to help our channel grow.